everybody, welcome back to the stream. It's Wednesday. We're getting wactical, I guess. We're back with another super cool rules update that we get to talk about because we just got the Chaos Space Marine points values in the new Minotaur Field Manual, and oh boy, are they looking insanely spicy. So I'm a little scared of Chaos Space Marine players right now. It looks like across the board they got points cuts, especially on the models that were reduced in power level, which like makes sense, but is not exactly the it's not the kind of the paradigm that we've been seeing from other codex updates. A lot of times so far this edition, things have been made worse, but then just like kept the same points value. In Chaos Space Marines, it looks like they got a lot of cuts on their units that were decreased in power, but also just, you know, had a lot of things to stay the same, even though they became much stronger. And getting access to more detachments, they got more special abilities to use. So I think it's all coming up Abaddon for Chaos Space Marine players. If I was a Tau player right now, I'd be kind of like rolling in my grave because they got points increases to most of their units when their codex came out, and their stuff that got worse didn't really see that much change. Absolutely disgusting. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Good morning, Jose. Nice to see you. Dinobots roll out. Yeah, we got some nice points updates for demon engines, so we get to talk about some demon engine lists and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Without further ado, I guess we can dive into it. So I have, as I've done in the past here, I've got the codex, over here on the left-hand side, I've got the new codex, the Minotaur Field Manual. So these are the updated points values. And as always, these are indicated as increases or decreases based on the codex points values. So not the previous Munitorum, because as we can see, a lot of the stuff looks different from the previous Munitorum Field Manual from April, but they are different than the codex points values that are listed in the codex, which is what the green and red indicators are for. A little confusing for us here, but we're just going to go manually through all of the points values and take a peek at what has changed. Big one, first of all, Abaddon the Despoiler looks like down 15 points to 295. He did get a little bit of a nerf to his CP regen effect. He now has to roll a 7 or higher on his Dark Pact checks to actually generate CP, so he is not quite as automatic as he was previously. But if he's attached to a unit, he's going to have a cult icon, so he's going to be able to reroll that leadership check. So he has a pretty good chance of succeeding the Dark Pact check, so at least at the level that he wants to be. We've also got, let's see, Accursed Cultists looks like are down significantly, 20 points for the unit, which does make sense, right? That is a unit that got like its entire role changed, right? Like the entire unit it just works differently now. They're like a throwaway. They're no longer this huge brick that was difficult to kill and reanimates and all this stuff that they were in the previous incarnation. Now they are like an offensive kind of horde unit. They're sort of like orc boys. And the new points value, I think, does make sense for them. Chaos Bikers looks like down 5 points, but they did lose their repositional redeployment, so they're probably not going to be seen even at their new lowered points value. Chaos Lords are down 5. That's a little nutty because they are going to be everywhere. A lot of the new synergies within the updated detachments require Chaos Lords specifically, so those guys I think are going to be pretty popular. Terminator Armor Lords looks like are at the same alongside all the Predators at 130. Those guys stuck around. Rhinos are the same. Chaos Spawn are the same, although they did lose some objective control, so they can no longer hold objectives by themselves. I actually don't know if we're going to see Chaos Spawn at 70 points. I think if they had seen a points cut, you maybe would have seen them, but just not that useful as a utility unit, in my opinion. So, I mean, we'll see. Maybe they'll remain in play, but being easier to kill now that they don't have their reactive healing effect every phase, every command phase, and not being able to control objectives by themselves is a really big downside to those guys, unfortunately. Chaos Terminators at the same level that they were. That is a decrease from the previous level, though, because that from the previous Munitorum field manual, because all the Terminators, every Terminator went down in points value. Chaos Vindicators at 175, fair enough. Chosen looks like went down 5 points a model. Man, they are pushing Chosen so hard. Not only did they retain all of their power level, and most of the detachments in the new codex are crazy with them. Like, the level of synergy is like absolutely insane. But they also went down in points. Okay. Cultist Firebrand, I think, is around where we sort of expected him. 45 points for a little character. You can attach enhancements to him, and I think that's really the only place you're going to see him. I don't think that he's going to be attaching into cultist mobs to buff them and give whatever the bonus that he gives to them is. What does he do for them? I forget. Where are you at, Cultist Firebrand? You little whippersnapper. He has a cool flamer. D6 plus 3 flamer shots. That's exciting. But I think you want him to be playing like Deceptors with the lone operative enhancement, so that you can just have a little lone operative guy run around for like 60 points or whatever. But 45 feels okay for that dude. You go any lower, and I think he becomes like too good of a utility unit. Any higher, he never sees play ever. Oh, now I can't find him. I'm so good at this game. Here he is. Oh, gives them... He forces battle shock checks, and he rerolls the leadership test, which I guess also affects your dark pack checks, but you're not really using him for that thing. Mostly, he's just got a little torrent weapon, and he's cheap. Fair enough. 45 seems totally fair for the occasional time that you'll take him. Cultists at 50 and 100, so 5 points a model. Fair enough. Seems good. Cypher remains at 90. Dark Apostles at 75. Dark Commune at also... Dark Commune went up in points value, actually. Dark Commune went up to 75 from 65. That's interesting. They don't feel like they're quite as impactful now that they... the accursed cultists that they were attaching to previously don't regenerate. So, like, previously, they would buff them with their 5+ invulnerable save. So you were stacking their Feel No Pain, plus the invulnerable save, plus the turn-to-turn regeneration that they had. So this is a unit that sort of, I think, distinctly got worse. Although their combos, as we talked about when we went over the codex in the Chaos Cult detachment, are crazy. You can do ridiculous, insano damage with these guys. You can kill knights with cultists, which, I don't know, seems like it's pretty good. Dark Commune is 65 on the app. Yeah, the current value is 65. They are oh, excuse me. No, you're right. I think I'm looking at the Dark Apostle. No, they're both 65. No, they stayed the same. I'm sorry, chat. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I just transposed myself one space there by accident. Yeah, no, they actually didn't change. Fair enough. Seems good. Felgor Beastman, 85. 85 might be playable for them, I think, because they got their new ability to turn 1 strategic reserve, which is actually pretty unique within the faction. So they can, and they have the good version. Oh no, they don't. They don't have the good version. You can set up in the reinforcement step with your first, second, or third movement phase. So they can't rapid ingress out in the first turn, which would have been huge. But they can just jump in and do secondaries on turn 1. That's like an interesting place to be. I think 85 for their profile is not great. They're really bad at fighting. They don't actually do any damage. You're paying entirely for that ability. And there's going to be a lot of situations in which that ability doesn't do anything. It doesn't actually get you any benefit because you just don't pull the cards that you need on them on the first turn. It's nice, I guess, but maybe it is too expensive. I feel like a 70-ish for this unit would have been nice. But I don't know if we need additional really strong utility in Chaos Space Marines, like, to be fair. Let's see. The Forge Friend. Forge Friend went down 10 from 200 down to 190. Harkin World Claimer stays at 90. Havocs staying at 130 alongside the Hellbrute. Helldrake stays the same at 205. The Foot Demon Prince at 165. Winged Demon Prince at 180. This stuff hasn't changed very much. Huron Blackheart's the same. Corn Lord of Skulls is the same. Legionaries are the same, which does make sense because they seem like they're pretty good. Lord Discordant stayed the same. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't know if we're going to see the Lord Discordant. 190. You're paying as much for that guy as you do for a Forge Fiend. A Forge Fiend that does the same damage that he does in melee, but at 36 inches. Oh, okay. And is not a character, so it doesn't give up assassination. I don't know, man. Poor guy. I don't know. It feels like Lord Discordants are kind of like paying for the sins of the past, because they were really good back in the day, right? For the last 2 editions, you saw Lord Discordants in basically like every Chaos Space Marine army through 8th and 9th edition. And I don't know, and I wonder if they're just like, well, you know, we sold our Lord Discordants in those editions, so we're just not going to worry about it right now. I mean, the ineligible to shoot thing is pretty cool, but you have to get your kind of squishy character within 12 inches of your opponent's army. And he doesn't hit that hard. I don't know. If he hit it harder, I think he'd be okay. 190, close to 200 points for this profile is just, that's just too much. That's just too much. If Disco Lord was 120 points, you'd still be hesitant. 120 feels like it would be a steal, to be honest. Like, you could see him at like 140s, maybe. Like, maybe 150. Probably okay. But he's like 25% overcosted right now. Like, his buffs are good. His debuffs are, like, relevant. The problem is that it's only vehicles. I wish these effects also targeted monsters, because then you have less of a chance that you just get like vaporized. And I know it's like a lore thing where he like hacks into your machinery, but I kind of wish vehicles and monsters were just amalgamated and were actually like the same keyword, because it's annoying to have like a bunch of anti-vehicle stuff and just like play against Tyranids and die because they physically can't take vehicles, and you're like, well, now I feel stupid. Let's see what else we got. The Master of Executions and Master Possession went down 10. He did, I think that he stayed the same, but his interaction with Chosen or with Possessed was nerfed, right? I think some people were pointing out that when you put him into a Possessed squad, the Possessed would give him devastating wounds on his gun, so he was anti-psych or 2 devastating, because every time that unit took a Dark Pact check, they gained devastating wounds on all of their weapons. It didn't require them to be in melee, and now that ability is only useful once per turn, so or once per game, excuse me. So the MOP does get a little bit hampered by that change. I think they're also, I don't know, this guy feels a little pushed as well. Although I always really liked him in Chosen units. It's a little bit awkward because you really want to be putting like Abaddon and your Lords in the Chosen units, but he gives them +1 to advance and charge, and since they can advance and charge and give him the ability to advance and shoot his gun, they suddenly get +2 threat range instead of +1. He also used to grant a Feel No Pain, right? He doesn't do that anymore. It's a little unfortunate. Just making people faster seems it's all right, I guess. Yeah. So I guess a 10-point cut on that guy does make sense. We've also got, let's see, the Mauler Fiend. Mauler Fiend went down an additional 10, I believe. Or yeah, Mauler Fiend, there you are. So it went from 140 down to 130. That is a big change. And I think makes sense. The Chaos Mauler Fiend is really not very good. It's a melee only vehicle, which is already not an amazing place that you want to be. And it's competing directly with like Forge Friends and Vindicators and stuff. And being a similar points value is just silly. It's just silly. At 130, They're just a big beater for very cheap. I think you might actually see play with them. I don't know if they're competing directly against the offensive infantry, and I don't know if they win that fight, but I think it's they're at least in the discussion now, especially if you have ways to speed them up. Obliterators looks like dropped 10 points. They did get some nerfs to their range, I believe, as well as their model count, so you can only take them in 2s instead of 4s, so your strats don't go quite as far. The Noctilith ground stayed the same. Okay. Possessed did get a 5-point cut for losing their ability, being able to be triggered every time they attack. Raptors stayed the same. The Sorcerer stayed the same at 60. Terminator Sorcerer at 90. Traitor Enforcer and Guardsman looks like is all the same. Vashtor the same at 190. Venom Crawler stayed the same. Warp Talon stayed the same, and Warpsmith. So the Warp Talons is the one where I think that people are kind of like scratching their heads, because Warp Talon's got a dramatic glow up. Where are those Warp Talons at in this book here? Their new ability is so strong that I think that people, at least I myself, was expecting to see at least a 4 or 5 point cost per model increase, right? So they're 22 points right now. I expected them to be at least 25 or higher. Those are Raptors. Here we go. But I think that these guys at 110 for 5 is a 3 of auto include in every list. I don't think you consider going to the table with Chaos Space Marines without taking 3 Warp Talon units. I think it's just easy peasy. The fact that you can like trigger this ability on multiple units every turn, so you're not restricted by. It's not like a once per turn. One unit with this ability can use it. It just works. So you can set up situations where you either stagger your Warp Talons to go in, or you're just hitting, you're hitting all your opponent's infantry all at once and killing them all and then running away and then doing it again. It's just so good, and it's a unit that you would already want to take anyway. It's a fast, like I would say not high AP, but like decently AP twin linked melee unit that gets the benefits of Dark Pacts and gets all of your whatever detachment synergies you're bringing. So you're already kind of incentivized to play them regardless, and then on top of that, they also can basically commit without doing anything. You just clear all your opponent's shaft like immediately. It's nuts. This unit's insane. So I don't know, chat. You might even take them in 10s at 220 points. Why not? Just throw them in there. Who cares? It gets a little tough to hide them, I think, but it's a little silly. The other thing is that they enter strategic reserve and then can come back whenever. So you can hold them for a turn, right? You can charge them into your opponent's army, fight with them, go back into reserve, leave them in strategic reserve because they're not required to come back, and then rapid ingress them and then do it again basically automatically the next turn. You can bring them in like for free, obviously, but rapid ingressing gives you more information. You can bring them in normally and then stage them for a turn and then run up and attack the next turn. But the rapid ingressing lets you respond to your opponent's movement phase. Just crazy, chat. This unit's so nuts. Oh my god. So you should limit the ability to the end of the opponent's fight phase? Yeah. Honestly, it feels like it could be a once per game for each unit. You know what I mean? Like, getting one unit for free and then acting as a normal fight like Brawler makes total sense. But the fact that they do it repeatedly is like, oh my god. You're going to be in situations where your opponent like isn't necessarily committing everything that they can, and they're like 3 Warp Talon units just going to pick apart their opponent's entire army. If they have stuff that Warp Talons can easily kill, you're playing against Eldar or something where they have like a bunch of 5 model, T3 units with 6 total wounds between 4 dudes and an Exarch, and Warp Talons are just like, yep, I'll take that, thank you, and then run away, and then come back and do it again next turn. Oh, do it again, here I go. And people are going to be tearing their fucking hair out, yeah. I think I think these guys are probably gonna be really good. is my read. Mauler Fiend only 20 points more than Venom Crawlers. With Magma Cutters, it's viable. I see a lot of people taking the Magma Cutters on them, which I always think is interesting. I think it makes more sense in Chaos Space Marines than it does in World Eaters, because they can't advance and shoot the Magma Cutters, so they end up in World Eaters like oftentimes not being able to attack with them, so it's just like wasted value. But in Chaos Space Marines, you are not often advancing and charging quite as much with them, because it's not just a free thing if they get off their Blessings of Corn. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm trying to find the stupid... Let me find the Mauler Fiend without flashing the screen at everybody. But it's good in a protracted fight, which I think is kind of where Mauler Fiends want to be at this stage. The downside is that like low strength. It's just an Inferno pistol basically. That's like D6 instead of D3 damage. So you're very rarely gonna get off your Melta damage, and you have to wound most vehicles on 5s. And you're probably hitting on 4s if you're engaged anyway. So it just is, I don't know. I don't know if I see the value so much, but it does. If you can, source any sort of damage buffs on them, it does make a lot of sense. Warp Talons became lore accurate, yeah, basically. Are Warp Talons like that crazy? I guess like they do like their classic ability is the ability to like teleport around through the warp, right? Which makes sense. Like I guess it does like it follows thematically. But did they like kill opponents' entire armies by themselves and just like flicker around and everyone dies? I think I don't know what detachments would be the best for these little guys though. I feel like they're trying to push you into taking them in the Soulforge War Pack, but it feels like you're just going to be taking like more aggressive, ranged oriented stuff. Maybe it's Renegade Raiders?
Tyranids versus Night Lords. Battle of the Battle Shocks.
Whose Battle Shocks are better? I just recorded the Demons video, by the way, chat. And, kind of excited about more people just forcing Battle Shocks on their opponent, so Demons can just like drink in the terror and just regenerate a trillion wounds. Super funny. So like they can't advance and charge in this detachment. They could, if you take them in Slanesh, they could advance and charge in Soulforge War Pack, which is, Pack-Bound Zealots, which is probably fine. Soulforge War Pack lets them go through terrain. That's actually probably very relevant. Then you can play them kind of like aggressive infantry units. That might just be the way to go. And you can give them +1 to wound with their... Or +2 attacks. Yeah, no, +2 attacks. So they go to 8 attacks. Oh, it might actually be Soulforge War Pack is the way to play them. I would love some more advancing and charging, but it's a little hard to source for them for vehicles, it looks like. And they can do the regeneration thing in melee too. Trader Guard got no changes, chat. Still 70 points a unit. It's a little expensive, to be honest, for like what is normally basically just a little trash infantry. Are there combat patrol rules too? Not to my knowledge, but I don't actually know where those end up getting posted. Do they get put on Warhammer Community? They do, right? Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry, chat. No, they literally got updated today. Yeah, no, there is a new combat patrol. I was just a moron and didn't look up. Yeah, so this is a new combat patrol listing that was posted literally also today. None of this was announced anywhere, as far as I know. They didn't have an article about it or anything. You can play Zarkin's Demonkin. You get lethal hits and sustained one instead of getting one of them. Pretty cool. Or you can switch that for after you shoot an enemy takes a battle shock test and you're -1 to the result. Who cares? That's stupid. Why? Okay. You get reroll hit rolls of 1 if you're below half strength. You reroll hit rolls of 1 below starting strength. Roll wound rolls of 1 if the enemy is below half strength. So that's a little useful because you are putting a Master of Possession into a possessed squad, right? So he's going to be shooting people and probably killing one of them. So most of the time, whoever you're shooting at is going to be below starting strength anyway. So it's just like gives you hit and rerolls of 1 in the fight phase, generally speaking. Your Master of Possession can blow himself up, it looks like. Hey, roll. If an enemy destroys a Master of Possession, if that enemy is within 6 inches on a 2+, it takes D3 mortal wounds on a 6 and suffers 3. Okay. It has a target effect. Oops. Typo. Rip. And when your possessed unit selected as a target of an attack until the end of the phase, you fight a death on a 4+. Okay. When your opponent's warlord is destroyed, if you're first or second or third battle round, you score 12 victory points. Otherwise, you score 6. So if you kill them in the first half of the game, you score 1 million points. Or from the second battle round onwards, if you score 2 VP if you control at least as many objective markers as your opponent does. At the end of your turn, Windmill Slam. That one's really good. It looks like so Zarkan actually doesn't have the +1 to charge ability in Combat Patrol, it looks like. Legionaries are like kind of goated in Combat Patrol though. Like these kind of abilities are super nuts because they just like punch way above their weight class. And for a unit that, you know, is most of the points value of your Combat Patrol, that's a big deal. They can kill. They're killing a lot of chaff idiots, which is very nice for them. It's exactly what they want to be doing. There you go, chat. A little Combat Patrol preview. Would see Trader Guard is the same as the Cultist mob. Basically, they're just the range version now. Yeah, they have more guns. But, like, the problem is that those styles of units, you are not taking to actually deal damage to your opponent's army. You're taking them to score points and stuff and screen. And so paying points for plasma guns and melta guns, for example, is mostly just... mostly, you know, just who cares? It's just fluff, basically. Because most of the time you're like advancing and going up and doing something anyway. I feel like they would be a different situation if you could take them in 20s. And you could like wombo combo out there like a bunch of special weapons. But you can't take duplicates. You don't have like cult icons. So you're really bad at passing Dark Pact checks. So you're probably killing yourself. Like, I don't know. Just feel it doesn't feel quite as exciting. This, like, benefit of cover on objective markers is kind of neat, because a lot of times you're throwing them out to, like, go run and touch an objective. So they are getting, so they're going to a 4+ save even out in the open, which is, that's cute, I guess. But I think they're still going to die. 4+ T3, if they're running and doing something, is still going to kill them. Legionnaires gonna be fire with the new mission pack, yeah. If it cares about battle line, definitely. It's gonna be disgusting. Yeah, I think Chaos Space Marine's really good, chat. On honestly, like, I really want to play, and I guess we can start to like sort of build some lists with them. I really want to play Renegade Raiders, but I know it. I feel like it's just going to be the flavor of the month for a while because they're so good. I don't know, chats. I think Chaos Space Marines are the folks to beat right now. This feels like an absolute windmill slam of a release if you're a Chaos Space Marine player. Like I mentioned, it's the other recent codexes like Tau, for example, that like have come out and were just, like kind of got a big side grade and then also got slammed with like points increases. Looking at this, you'd be like, oh my god, are you serious? You basically kept your index detachment and also got a bunch of additional detachments that are super good. I don't know, folks. I think that's going to be really strong. All right. Should we play around with some list building? Got my new recruit up. We might just have to... we might just have to fudge the points if things are different than the points values inside new recruit. Well, what we use as damage dealers and the cultist attachments. Well, the kind of like the, I think the intention is that you use a cursed. A cursed cultists do crazy damage once you combo them out. You have to do the combos though. That's the whole thing. You can't just like leave them up to their own devices because you have to be able to combo them. All right, let me just resituate my screens here. All right. So if we like play around with some Renegade Raiders, for example, where we windmill slam triple warp talons every time, I think. It's prompting us to take marks, but we can't take marks in this attachment. You can give a unit scouts. So you can take a scouting transport, I guess. Infantry and mounted can advance and charge. End of the fight phase, you can make a fallback move. So that's like another reason. This stratagem is another reason that like warp talents are super nuts. Because you can, in this detachment, you can pay 1 CP to automatically trigger their effect. Because they're just going to leave. End of the fight phase, they're just going to leave combat, and then end of the turn, they're just going to go into reserve. This is almost literally just Encircle the Prey from old Tyranids. So silly. Except you can't do it if you're if you're just shooting people, which is good. Thank goodness for that. All right. So I think that we take like a Lord for this for this. Ooh, 2 Demon Hammers. Let's go. For the excuse me, the enhancement that gives you Scout. That seems good. This one seems, this Dread Reaver seems kind of cute, but I don't know how often you're actually going to be triggering it. I wonder if you do it on a Winged Demon Prince. I think that's the way to go. So we take a... Where's that guy at? Winged Demon Prince. And then the whole goal with him is to... rapid ingress him into your opponent's, like, deployment zone, essentially. Let's actually grab his data sheet real quick. Let's take a peek at what he's got going on. I always forget which Demon Prince does what between all of the different Chaos sub-factions, because everyone's Demon Princes have unique abilities, which is cool. I really like it. I know the World Eaters one, I think, picks a target that you get bonuses against. Heretic Astartes infantry get the benefit of cover. Okay. Cool. Each time he shoots or fights, you get to reroll 1 hit roll and 1 wound roll. Oh no, that's the Foot Demon Prince. Excuse me. I thought that was the wing guy. No. Oh no, he's got an impact attack every time he ends a charge move. Roll a d6 for each of his remaining wounds, so he starts at 10. Rad. And then if he moves over people, he forces Battle Shock. Also useful. Yeah, no, this guy seems great.
Tau points increases really showed the issue with detachments. Crute went up because of hunting pack and missile sides went up because of Montcalithils.
I do think that that's definitely the case. Crute definitely went up because of hunting pack for sure. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that pointing units specifically for detachments was a mistake. Like the whole idea. I think it's less of an issue with detachments in general and more of an issue with like the design ethos where they're like so afraid of stuff being good that they would rather see units like unplayed in any situation rather than the detachment being like a cool bonus for them. Like the detachments should be an incentive to play a unit, not a required slot. You know what I mean? And I think that's just like a failure of design on GW's part, in my opinion. But it is what it is. I don't think they're like using the detachment mechanic to its fullest extent for doing that. So I don't know what mark we give this guy. We can put him up to. We can give him 6 attacks with his gun, and his bonus doesn't work in melee in range attacks, so it only works in melee. So probably, I don't know, not Zinch. I think the gun's kind of a meme anyway. +2 move makes sense, but putting the weapons to strength 10 also makes sense. Because then you're wounding like most things on 3s or 2s with rerolls, which is very, very reliable. I'm just going to put him on Corn for now. That's cute. All right. We want a chosen unit, I think, for that Chaos Lord to go into. I think we take a big one so he can give them all Scout. And then we go to 0 and then take all their special equipment, I guess. Oops. Oh, I see what I did. Cursed weapons, pair to cursed weapons, power fist, power fist. We take a cult icon, and we take 2 guys with. It doesn't matter. Plasma pistols, I guess. Sure. What have I done? I have no idea. Some combination of 10 cultists. We could also do the MOP actually in that situation. What benefit are we getting from the Chaos Lord? We get their Armor of Contempt. And precision, who cares? Who gives a shit? We get their Armor of Contempt. Oh, and their wound roll. Yeah, no. We want the Chaos Lords, I think. So I think actually like a couple of those bricks is probably the way to play, right? Because being able to duplicate those stratagems when we need to is like super powerful. Because we're almost always going to be like windmill slamming them when we have them. I think that we are going to take a Rhino for that unit for sure. There's an argument to be made for Land Raiders, but they're a little slow, and I don't know if we necessarily need them. So I feel like we can just like sort of windmill like the old list that's like 3 Chaos Lords, 1 of 10, and 2 of 5 chosen to go into 2 Rhinos. That kind of feels like the way to play. And how many points is that? 1465. We take a little bit of utility. So, like, we can rock Nurglings if we need objective scoring. And we need some guns. I don't know if they have too many shooting units I care that much about. I guess the Land Raider is kind of okay because we do have an Armor of Contempt in the detachment, which is nice. So maybe we are taking Land Raiders. Although not with the scouting guy, because the scouting guy doesn't get the benefit. Maybe we can take like a possessed squad. That feels okay, right? Because they can jump into a Land Raider. I feel like Chosen are only going to be worth it over Legionaries if they're going with Abaddon. I don't know about that, chat. Because like they're so much faster, and you can source rerolls from the detachment. So we don't necessarily need the Legionaries to get our wound rerolls because we get them from Ruinous Raid. So like I guess you don't have this quite as much sustain as you would over multiple turns, but I think like you do what you need to, you know what I mean? And you can you only get it when you disembark a transport, but on the flip side you also I think the goal is to try to engage with stuff that isn't necessarily the chosen bricks on those turns. You're trying to stagger your attacks. And I think like I'm actually maybe talking myself into the big unit of Warp Talons in order to let's forget how to get out of the unit screen here. In order to like act as that second sort of big bulwark unit, like this is that big hammer unit. Havocs in a Rhino? Maybe? I was almost wondering, let's actually pull up the Land Raider data sheet real quick. Because I was wondering, like, what we get in a Land Raider. Because it might be worth taking Obliterators. They're more expensive than Havocs, but you get more optionality on their ranged attacks. And it's full hit and wound rerolls when they're shooting people. So the Land Raiders can take... Oh, not excluding Obliterators. Just kidding. Can't put them in there. So, yeah, Havocs and a Rhino is definitely cheaper. And those are really the only, like, ranged sort of infantry units that we have access to, right? There's not really much else that we're that excited about. I mean, you could just, like, Windmill Slam Forge Friends, because they're good. That is a little boring, though, to be fair. I guess you could just rock Vindicators, right? You could just take, like, Vindicators and Hellbrutes or whatever. It's probably Vindicators. I'm talking myself into Vindicators quite a bit here. Because they have a base 2+ save, so we can combo them with the Armor of Contempt. How many points do we have? 1750. So we take 2 Vindicators. Our list went down, I think 15, plus the Chosen went down 20, so that's 30 points that we're getting off essentially. And the points values for our enhancements, we're taking Dread Reaver for the big dude And Tyrant Slash, so 35 points. So we need to play 5 points under whatever the list builder says we're at. So we have 70 points left for like some cultists or something. $70 points is Nurglings. Where are my Nurglings at? Nurglings. I can't find them. This is the I didn't go through and take out all these extra bits. So many units. So many potential demonic allies. Jesus Christ, calm down. There's too many. There you go, Nurglings. And then we have we have 30 points left. Could we cut 10 somewhere? It'd be a little tough. Maybe we can find 10 points. What's the difference between if we take, instead of a Chaos Lord, we take a Master Possession in one of these units so that they're faster? That actually gets us 10 points back, yeah. No, that does it. And we get a second Nurgling squad. There you go, that's the list. That's one of them. That's a list. They're probably pretty good. Man Legionnaires isn't that much less shooting than 5 Havocs. Oh, it's for like rerolling with their heavy weapons. It's half as many heavy weapons, right? Because they are... Where are my Legionnaires at? They get 2 of them, plus like 2 special weapons. So I guess you just switch 2 heavy weapons to 2 specials. For every 5, one gets 1 heavy thing. Oh, 1 of them. So you get a plasma pistol on the aspiring champion. One heavy melee weapon. 1 Balefire Tome. Oh yeah, that's like the little psychic gun. And then 2 heavy weapons. So you don't get heavies and specials. So it's not like tactical squads where you get 1 of each, or Crusader squads, right? Where you get 1 of each. You get to choose which one you have, but you can only ever have 2. Yeah, what we're trying to do is get wound rerolls with the stratagem, though. I don't know if it's worth it, though, right? Like, you get hit, you can disembark and get hit in wound rerolls, but, like, is that worth a CP if you're attacking with, like, 2 heavy weapons and, like, several bolt pistols? Like, I don't even know if it matters. Especially because a lot of times I think what you want to do is disembark, use the strat for advance and charge, and then use their own, like, baked-in wound rerolls. I don't know. Legionnaires seem fine, but I feel like they're competing directly with Warp Talons in this list. And Warp Talons just do their job better. Like, Legionnaires require transports to do their thing, and they're required to attack people on objectives. Whereas Warp Talons just have their rerolls baked in, right? Like, to their weapon profile. And then they don't die when they swing back. Plus, they have more attacks and a higher AP value. Like, I think I'm mid on Legionnaires, specifically in Renegade Raiders. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a silly goose. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Take Legionnaires before Havocs. I mean, maybe. But they're a less efficient... I don't think they're quite as efficient of a shooting platform, right? Because they're 40 points more for 10 versus 5 Havocs, and you get half as many heavy weapons. You just get the tome. And I think you're paying a lot of additional, like... you're paying a lot of, sort of... What's the word? opportunity cost for these Veterans of the Long War that you're not going to be using if you're shooting people with them. I think if you're, like, the reason you're taking Legionnaires is to use Veterans of the Long War. If you're not using Veterans of the Long War, you might as well take something else. Two Havocs and 2 Rhinos. Let's peek Havocs. What's the best weapon profile we can take on a Havoc? Is it the Reaper Chain Cannon? Like, I don't think that you need them to clear infantry. I think what you need is, like, stuff that can crack armor. Like, can at least threaten armor at range. Havocs can probably do it. But they're just, like, they have that classic, like, low volume, like, Devastator profile where you're like, I will shoot you with las cannons. And then they're, like, 4 shots. And you're like, I've wounded 3 times. Your opponent's like, I saved 2 of them. I take 3 damage. And you're like, oh, okay. This sucks. Whereas, like, what you actually want is, like, a multi-melted Devastator squad with 3 rolls, but they don't have that. Oh, the Havoc champion gets a gun. That's cool. Gets a plasma gun. It's actually really rad. And he doesn't have anything baked in, right? So you could just, like, rock him with a plasma gun and blow his head off with Hazardous, and it doesn't really matter. Because he doesn't actually have any special war gear besides that. Just take Forge Friends? Yeah, for sure. So what's the... Assuming that we don't have a Hellbrute, I guess that you can, there's no way to, like, rock critical 5s outside Pact Bound with these guys, right? So, if there's 4 Havocs running Chain Cannon, they're shooting 32 times. So, if you packed for lethal hits... You're getting 5.3, re-rolling if you fish. So you get about 10 lethals. And then you get about 13 normal hits. Let's say you're, like, charitably, if you're winning on 5s, right? You're wounding about, what, like 6 of those? So you're forcing, like, 16 saves on people. Does the Renegade Raiders... It only benefits you in melee, right? Oh, makes an attack and targets unit on objective marker. So you're AP 1, but your opponent is almost certainly in cover. Oh, yeah. We can advance and charge with... It's mounted infantry in this attachment, right? Yeah. We can't get advance and charge on Mauler Fiends. That'd be rad, actually. Because their guns would have assault, too. That'd be kind of sweet. So, like, I don't know. So it's like 13 saves, saving on 3s. You average, like, 4 damage into a Rhino. It's not that exciting. I mean, you're very good against infantry. So if you're worried about, like, orc boys and stuff, like, sinking into you, then that's problematic. Like, if you need to sweep Green Tide or something, then that definitely makes sense. But I think that's more of, like, a metagame consideration. I don't know if I would build for that specifically, because you're also hoping that you can, like, chip damage people down with your shooting, and then clear out a unit with the Warp Talons and then run them away with the big Warp Talon squad, because that would be my answer to that situation. You can't, like, enhanced pact effect for Chaos Marks is contingent on playing Pact Bound Zealots. You don't get it in any other detachment. That's not a core rule of the faction. That's the detachment ability for Pact Bound. If you're playing Renegade Raiders, which is what we're building right now, then you don't get Chaos Marks at all. 2 units of las cannons in a land raider. Does it work deliver 14 las cannons? Yeah, you don't get, like, you only get rerolls on one of them, though. Like, it's really inefficient, right? Because you can only take 4 las cannons in a unit. Because you can't take any more havocs in the squad, so only one of them gets the rerolls. Unless you can attach Chaos Lords to them. But I think we're... is that too deep in the weeds? You can, like, duplicate the full reroll strat? Predator Destructors? Oh, that does make total sense, actually. Predator Destructors seems sweet. Maybe that's what you take. I mean, I'm also just, like, rocking Vindicators right now. But you can take Predator Destructors. They go to AP 3 against infantry base on that are touching objectives. That's, like, super nuts. Maybe it is Predator Destructors. Unironically, is the answer. +1 AP targeting enemies on objectives is like a nuts detachment bonus, and you get assault, so your like vehicles can advance and shoot. You can like run around corners and stuff. I wonder if there's like a tank brick list in this from this detachment where you're just like, hey, everybody gets +1 AP and like gets to be super maneuverable. That's super fun. Yeah, that seems good. Good call out, chat. So much good list building. Man, Chaos Space Marine seems so sick. I don't know. I'm a little worried that they're gonna take over the entire game for a while. I really don't want to play against this detachment. I'm just gonna rail against the transform mechanics until it gets nerfed or GW changes it, which they'll never do for whatever reason. They have a huge hard-on for rhinos. People saying autocannons on Forge Friends were viable in Soul Forge. Autocannons, like the rotary cannon, the big chain gun. Let's take a peek at the Forge Friends too. I hope he's this direction. I think I'm going the wrong way. Forge Friend, where are you at? There you are. So it's, yeah, the Hades autocannon. You can only take an ectoplasma in the jaws. You can't take the Hades autocannon. So he's got 12 shots plus the D3 ectoplasma. And in Soul Forge, he's getting +1 to wound. He's getting reroll hit rolls. Probably from this thing. Then he probably like double packs for lethal sustain. I mean, it's probably fine. Is it better than the ectoplasma against like heavy targets? The problem is this AP1, right? And there's no, as far as I know, there's nothing in this detachment that buffs your AP, unlike the other one. So, oh no, there is. Just kidding. You just have a strat for it. So you can go to AP2. And you're wounding like most stuff on 4s, I guess, because you're strength 8 +1 to wound. So you can be shooting 12 shots, fishing for 6s maybe, because you get lethal sustain. This is a lot of work in a Forge Fiend, by the way, because it's the enhancement and a strat, right? Although the enhancement's an aura, so it can affect multiple things. Although it's a very small aura, so I don't know how often you're going to be getting a lot of people in range for it. So it's 12 shots, full rerolls, so you're probably getting 8 or 2 naturally rerolling into 2. Let's call it 2 more. We'll be charitable. So you get 2 lethal sustains, so 2 automatic wounds plus, or 4 automatic wounds plus 4 back into the pool. So you're probably then like rolling, I don't know, 10-ish wound rolls. with +1 wound when you're on 4s, so you're getting 5 more. So you're handing your opponent 9 saves, of which 1.5 of those are going to be devastating. So 3 automatic damage, and then like on average, and then whatever 7.5, probably 4+ saves, plus the ectoplasma shot. So you're probably good for about 10 damage, maybe 12 with the ectoplasma cannon, depending on how that rolls. At the cost of eating a bunch of damage on yourself, though. Versus the ectoplasma cannons, which average 6 shots. Get like 1 in on lethal and sustained, and then reroll to get another one. So you're doing like giving them 2 AP, potentially 4 saves, plus rolling another column force to wound. You're shooting a T11. You're probably handing them another 3 to take. So you're probably in for like 6 damage, or 6 to 9 damage, I guess, from the ectoplasmas. So it's like a little bit better in the autocannon if you're fully wombo comboed out. So Fortress you'd created decreased by 50 points. Is that because of Mauler Fiends? The Mauler Fiend decrease is like a huge deal. I definitely think Mauler Fiends are certainly playable in the Soulforged detachment. Being able to go through walls for like melee vehicles is such a big deal. And then +2 attacks is also huge. Like +2 attacks, and you're getting sustained hits probably, so you're basically hitting on 2s with 8 like hugely damaging attacks. Is like nuts. Cool. That's really good. And down by 45. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Space Marines, I think that they were already like they were very eminently playable before the new codex, and now like they got points cuts and new detachments. I think they're going to be really strong. I don't think they're going to be as strong as they were like 2023 when they were just killing everyone for the second half of that, or the last season of that year, but they are definitely going to be good, I think, for sure. Can Forge Me still use the strategy that makes them untargetable? Again, chat, that's Pact-Bound Zealots only. I think the old like Slaves to Darkness was so strong that everyone, it seems like, conflates every single stratagem with that. It's only this detachment. That gives you all the special stuff and all the can't be targeted. But yeah, long story short, you absolutely can. Defiler also probably pretty good for sure. Especially because that's probably the biggest unit for going through walls, right? Because the thing's physically like enormous. It's the size of like a dinner plate. So being able to walk through terrain with that is huge. Or Corn Lords of Skulls, like Valder was saying in the chat. Yeah, the Defiler I think has the same like board presence as a Corn Lord of Skulls, but it's like significantly less impactful, which is always a problem with it. I hate that that's like a consideration in 40k, but it is what it is. Lord of Skulls has a smaller footprint. Amazing. That's so silly. Which I guess is worse for it because it is towering, right? So like being smaller does make it a little bit less good. That's hilarious though. Corn Lord of Skulls more in Renegade Raiders, Advance and Shoot, and +1 AP. I don't know. Like Assault is good, I guess, but like I don't know if it needs +1 AP. Like I guess it goes to 4. And it doesn't really, outside of the AP bump, it doesn't really interact with any of their stuff. And I don't know if necessarily you need the AP on the stuff that a Lord of Skulls is shooting at, because a lot of times it's just taking targets of opportunity that your opponent gives you, which I guess is like normally stuff on objectives, but but at least in my experience playing the Lord of Skulls, like your opponent is trying so hard to stop it from shooting at them that they only get like the stuff they don't give a shit about in line of sight. And you don't often need the AP bonus to kill them. But I guess like you do have like your own armor of contempt, which is nice. You could also get precision. Like an epic challenge with your Lord of Skulls on someone. Defilers are unbased to my knowledge, chat. It's only Soul Grinders that have a base, which is weird because it's like the same model. Oh, they're actually not on the web store. Oh no, they're there. I found them. Yeah, they're just a guy. He's just a little guy. Yeah, no base for him. Just a little guy. And by little, we mean the size of a boat. What a silly goose the Defiler is. Love that there are no Chaos Marks. Marked units or Black Legion shenanigans. Chaos Research is not just recolored Black Legion. Yeah. Yeah, like, I think what they're trying to do is very distinctly out of some little flavor things, like the Pact-Bound Zealots and, like, the Demon Princes getting Chaos Marks. They're very specifically trying to move the marked Chaos Space Marines into their individual legions. So you can amalgamate them together if you're taking Rubrics or Plague Marines or whatever. What if we took Rubric Marines, chat? And now I'm thinking about it. It's like, Rubric Marines exist. That's probably pretty good, jumping out of a Rhino. What was I about to say? Yeah, and... I don't know. They're all getting their own codexes. I feel like Rubric Marines are the actual shooting unit, right? They're not Thousand Suns Rubric Marines, but you get +1 AP on them, right? Because they just are Heretic Astartes units. Yeah. Is +1 AP on a full rerolling Flamer unit good? Can we be rocking 10-man Flamer squads? Nobody can attach into them, right? Because nobody gets them as an attachment option, which is probably okay. And they get Assault. And you can turn on rerolls even if you're not on an objective, because they can just use the strat if they're in Rhinos. Hold up. If we're winning on 6s and we're shooting, let's say we have a Flamer pistol on the little guy, right? So we're shooting 10d6 shots. Automatic hitting. It's strength 4 versus toughness 8+, who cares? But you become AP 3 into a 3-up save, and you're rerolling everything. They average 9 damage. So are Rubric Brains the GOAT? And that's without the little baby smite they have. So you could maybe get a devastating out of the baby smite. And or a Soul Reaper cannon probably averages a little bit more damage than the Flamers. I'm actually not sure. Is that good? Yeah, that sounds like it could be okay, chat. I'm gonna be honest. I love that I forgot that Thousand Suns were an army. What about the new Noise Marines that we just made fun of all day yesterday? Are they good? Probably not, right? They make you take a battle shock check. How many Blastmasters do you get in a unit? 1. Fuck off. God damn it. And everyone gets a Sonic Blaster. Okay, so they're just shooting 3 shots apiece. Yeah, that's boring. If you could take multiple Blastmasters, I'd probably be out on this unit, actually. What's their expected output? If they have +1 AP. They're shooting 27 Sonic Blaster shots if you take a 10-man on 3s, and then 3 Blastmaster shots on 4s. Yeah, I think the problem is that, like, AP1 is really so bad right now that it's just, like, sad. Alright, not including lethal hits. You're averaging, like, yeah, whatever, like 7 damage. Lame. So you probably get 8 or 9 with lethals, but that's not that good. Whatever. Yeah, the Blastmaster is unironically really good. Like, the Blastmaster is the reason that you take Noise Marines, right? Like, that gun is amazing. The problem is what we want to be doing is like windmill slamming the big reroll stratagem on them, and we want to concentrate all the heavy weapons together, but we can't do that. Might be keyworded chaos, not have Heretic Astartes. Yeah, so that's what we were just looking at, chat, for the allied units. They gain the Heretic Astartes faction keyword, so they become a Heretic Astartes unit, so all your synergies turn on. They don't have Dark Pacts, so they don't get this stuff, unless you're a Noise Marine, obviously, then you do. Because they couldn't be bothered to write a new army roll, a bespoke army roll for Emperor's Children, I guess. They don't get Dark Pacts, but you don't need Dark Pacts if you're auto-hitting with a Flamer weapon. It doesn't even matter. They wouldn't be getting Dark Pacts anyway. Death card. I could see Plague Marines being good if you could take their characters, but you can't. If you could wombo combo out like the Plague Marine brick with all the special weapons and stuff, I think they would be sort of nuts. But that's probably too strong. All right, chat. I don't know if I have much else to say about these new points values, other than that Chaos Space Marines look amazing. Renegade Raiders and Soulforge Warpack like truly terrify me. And with their new points values, I think everyone else should be terrified too. Whew. Alpha Legion might have some tournament play. Yeah, there's a lot of people have been posting in the Discord about like silly stratagems you can do with Deceptors. You can use like the replacement effect to get like charge bonuses out of Deep Strike, because you can like Deep Strike a unit and then replace one of their models with a character and then bounce the character closer. Which is almost certainly an unintended interaction. It might get FAQ'd, but we'll see. So you can get real easy charges. But again, it's only Legionaries. Although Legionaries are good, so we'll see. We'll see how things shake out. I don't know. There's a lot to play with in this army, and I'm glad they didn't get like sort of nuked by points changes. But man, if I was a Tau player, I'd be livid, because this is the points changes that you wished you saw. You wish you got points cuts on stuff instead of increases while losing a lot of your sort of baseline detachment rolls. All right, chat. I'm going to go ahead and pop off. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me. I will be live over on the Purple channel on Friday, so day after tomorrow. We have 2 finals game scheduled back-to-back. So it sounds like it's going to be from somewhere around 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern all the way through the afternoon is going to be live streaming. So come hang out with me over there if you want to watch some sick 40K. And otherwise, I've got some exciting videos planned for you, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to the channel. We have a bunch of cool stuff coming up. And, yeah, I'll see you then. So cheers, everyone. Thanks for chilling with me. And I hope you enjoy your Chaos Space Marine list building, because I sure will. Have a good one.